Have you ever heard of a man whose name isn't just in history books but became a symbol of power? Have you ever heard of a man whose name became a title for emperors and kings, echoing through the ages? He's not just a name in a history book, he's an echo through time, showing us the power of will and big dreams. This isn't some made-up story, it's the life of a real person, the story of Gaius Julius Caesar. He didn't just lead huge armies or rule a vast nation, he changed the course of civilization, leaving behind a legacy that still inspires us and makes us curious today. He was born into a chaotic Roman Republic, where power struggles and political fights were the norm. Caesar didn't just see what was there, but what could be, a vision for Rome's future and his place in it. He had a sharp mind and could see what was coming. His huge ambition, sharp mind, and charming personality made him stand out in a world that desperately needed change, a world looking for a leader to inspire and guide it towards a better future. We'll walk alongside Caesar through the complicated political plots against him, and the battlefield victories he won with skill and courage, and the final betrayal that ended his life at the peak of his glory. This isn't just a boring history lesson but a deep look into true leadership, a lasting legacy, and the price of greatness one might pay to achieve it. Let's peel back the layers built up over centuries and discover the real Julius Caesar, the man with all his strengths and weaknesses. A man whose actions shaped the world we live in, and whose legacy still inspires and affects us today. Julius Caesar was born into the Julian clan, a noble family with deep roots in Rome's history. However, despite their ancient lineage, this clan wasn't very powerful or wealthy at the time. They were going through a period of decline. Caesar grew up in the bustling and crowded Suburra district of Rome, a neighborhood full of life, noise, and chaos. This made him deeply understand the lives and struggles of ordinary people, a trait few aristocrats raised in isolation ever had. He understood their needs and hopes. His early years were marked by growing civil unrest that shook the Roman Republic to its core. His uncle, the famous military leader Marius, was locked in a bitter power struggle with Sulla. After Sulla's victory, Caesar was directly targeted because of his strong family ties to Marius, putting him in a very dangerous position. Sulla ordered Caesar to divorce his wife Cornelia, the daughter of one of Marius's allies, as a sign of his loyalty. But young Caesar refused to obey, choosing to risk his life rather than abandon his wife. He had to hide to avoid Sulla's anger. This harsh experience taught Caesar an unforgettable lesson, that to survive and succeed in the wild world of Roman politics, you need a unique mix of courage, sharp intelligence, and the ability to form strong alliances with others. After Sulla's death, Caesar seized the chance and immediately returned to Rome, but on a later sea journey, he was captured by pirates. Instead of being scared, Caesar charmed his captors with his wit and appealing personality. He even convinced them to demand a much higher ransom for his release, saying the amount they first asked for wasn't fitting for his status. Once the ransom was paid and he was freed, Caesar didn't waste any time. He gathered a small fleet and chased them relentlessly. And when he caught them, he ordered them all crucified, exactly as he had promised them during his captivity. These early experiences shaped Caesar's character, turning him into a fearless man with a strong personal charm and unbreakable determination. Caesar learned a vital lesson. To be safe in a troubled world, he had to be strong enough to protect himself. And to be strong, he had to be willing to risk everything, even his life. So the stage was perfectly set for Julius Caesar, this ambitious young man, to rise to the pinnacle of power in Rome. Back in Rome, Caesar started climbing the cursus honorum, the ladder of political offices. He became famous as a lawyer, speaking up for ordinary people and earning a name as a great speaker. To pay for his big plans, he borrowed huge amounts of money from Crassus, the richest man in Rome, betting on his own future. He was elected quaestor, then aedile, and spent a lot of money on public games, gaining popular support but also more debt. In a bold move, he won the position of Pontifex Maximus, beating out more established rivals. Finally, as consul, he faced a Senate wary of his ambition. But Caesar was ready to rewrite the rules. He had reached the top, and was about to change Rome forever. Facing a hostile Senate, Caesar knew he needed strong friends. He formed a secret agreement, the First Triumvirate, with Pompey the Great and Crassus. Together they went around the Senate, passed laws, and made their power stronger. Caesar got a 5-year command in Gaul, gaining control of 4 legions and a huge area. This alliance changed Roman politics, giving Caesar the army and freedom he needed. The triumvirate took over Rome's future, and Caesar was ready to make his mark. As governor of Gaul, which was a huge and rich area that's now France and parts of Western Europe, Julius Caesar was about to start a chapter that would change Roman history forever. Caesar started a series of campaigns that would define his legend, spread Rome's influence, and prove he was one of the greatest military leaders ever. These campaigns were more than just military takeovers. They showed his endless ambition, smart strategies, and how he could make his men super loyal. He conquered tribe after tribe, bringing them one by one under Roman rule. These tribes weren't easy opponents, each had its own unique culture, fierce leaders, and a willingness to fight for their land no matter what. He showed amazing tactical skill and inspired deep loyalty in his soldiers, who were ready to follow him to the ends of the earth. Caesar understood how important it was to keep spirits high and maintain strong discipline, giving his men a sense of shared purpose and unshakable determination. Caesar led from the front, sharing the hardships and taking the same risks as his men. He wasn't a leader who sat safely in the back while his soldiers fought. He was right in the middle of the battle, giving guidance and inspiration when it was needed most. And he formed a strong bond with his legions, a bond built on mutual respect, trust, and shared experiences. Caesar understood that a strong army isn't just made of well-trained soldiers, but also of comrades who have a strong connection. He was also a master of propaganda, understanding the power of stories in shaping public opinion and influencing political events. He sent his commentaries on the Gallic War back to Rome to shape public opinion, showing himself as a victorious hero and an essential leader. These commentaries were a powerful tool in strengthening his political power and boosting his image in the eyes of the Roman people. His greatest victories came at Alesia, a battle that showed his military genius and his ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds. He outsmarted a huge Gallic force with brilliant engineering and pure determination, building an amazing double system of defenses that trapped the besieged city and protected his army from outside reinforcements. The conquest of Gaul made Caesar the most powerful man in Rome, giving him huge riches and an undeniable aura of victory. He had a loyal, experienced army that was ready to follow him anywhere, even against Rome itself. His reputation grew, and the worry of his enemies in Rome increased. They saw his growing power as a threat to their own authority and influence. Caesar became more than just a general. He was a living legend, a symbol of ambition, military skill, and unstoppable success. But his growing power would soon pull him into a direct conflict with the Roman establishment, leading to a civil war that would change the course of the Roman Republic forever. With the Senate and Pompey, his former ally and current rival, both determined to curb his growing power and restore the Republican order, the stage was set for civil war, a war that would tear Rome apart from the inside and test the loyalties of its citizens. With Crassus gone, the triumvirate fell apart. Pompey then teamed up with Caesar's enemies in the Senate. They told Caesar to break up his army and come back to Rome as a regular citizen, which would leave him open to being put on trial and sent away. Faced with ruin or fighting back, Caesar made his big choice. On January 10, 49 BC, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army saying, "The die is cast." This was a clear act of defiance, a declaration of civil war. Panic spread in Rome. Pompey and the Senate ran away. Caesar took advantage of the situation, marching towards Rome and forcing the Republic to pick a side. There was no turning back. Caesar's civil war was swift and decisive. Pompey was defeated at Pharsalus. He fled to Egypt and was killed. Returning to Rome, Caesar was named dictator for life, ending the Republic in all but name. He launched sweeping reforms, granting citizenship, reforming taxes, and introducing the Julian calendar. His rule brought stability, but his growing power worried the Senate. Coins bore his image, and he sat on a golden throne, kingly symbols that bothered Rome's elite. Though he refused the crown, many saw him as a tyrant. Discontent grew, and whispers of conspiracy spread. Caesar's remaking of Rome would soon invite deadly opposition. Fearing tyranny, a group of senators led by Cassius and Brutus plotted to kill Caesar. On the Ides of March 44 BC, Caesar ignored warnings and entered the Senate. Surrounded by the conspirators, he was stabbed again and again, even by Brutus, whom he considered a son. "Et tu, Brute?" he is said to have uttered, before falling at the foot of Pompey's statue. The conspirators believed they had saved the Republic, but they misjudged the loyalty of the people. Instead of restoring freedom, they unleashed chaos and civil war. Caesar's death made him a martyr and sealed the Republic's fate. Caesar's murder threw Rome into even more civil war. His adopted heir, Octavian and Mark Antony, got revenge, then fought for control. Octavian came out as Augustus, Rome's first emperor, finishing Caesar's change for Rome. The name Caesar became a word for power: Kaiser, Tsar, Emperor. His changes and writings shaped Western civilization for hundreds of years. His life is a lesson in big dreams, leadership, and the two-sided sword of power. Caesar's story makes us ask, what is the price of being great? His legacy lives on, a reminder that history is made by those brave enough to grab it.